How ancient humans really created dogs. Imagine it's around 15,000 years ago. You're living as a hunter-gatherer somewhere across the vast landscapes of Ice Age Eurasia. Every sunrise begins the same way: find food, avoid danger, survive another day. There are no farms, no villages, no certainty that tomorrow will come. Every meal is earned, and every night carries new risks. As darkness settles over your camp, the fire crackles quietly. Beyond the circle of light, something moves. You stop breathing. Two glowing eyes stare back from the shadows. Your hand tightens around your spear. But the creature doesn't charge. It doesn't flee either. Instead, it simply watches from a safe distance. Curious, but cautious. And for reasons neither you nor the animal fully understands, neither of you attacks. That simple encounter may have been the beginning of one of the greatest partnerships in human history. Today, dogs seem inseparable from human life. They guard homes, help hunters, guide the blind, comfort the lonely, and somehow always know when someone opens a bag of food. Yet none of this happened because ancient humans decided to invent a pet. The real story is far stranger and far more fascinating. Dogs are not a completely separate species. Biologically, they are a domesticated form of the grey wolf, Canis lupus. Whether it's a massive Great Dane or a tiny Chihuahua, every dog alive today shares an ancestor with wild wolves. Exactly when wolves became dogs remains one of archaeology's biggest debates. Some researchers estimate the process began around 15,000 years ago, while others argue it may stretch back as far as 40,000 years. Ancient DNA provides important clues, but fossils are incomplete, and prehistoric timelines rarely fit neatly together. What scientists do agree on is that dogs were humanity's very first domesticated animals. Long before horses carried riders, before sheep grazed beside villages, or cattle pulled plows, dogs were already living alongside humans. Even more remarkable, this all happened before agriculture existed. For generations, many people imagined the process like a heroic story. A prehistoric hunter discovers abandoned wolf pups, raises them with kindness, and eventually transforms them into loyal companions. It sounds heartwarming. Unfortunately, biology tells a different story. Adult wolves are extremely difficult to domesticate. Even wolves raised by humans from birth retain many of their natural instincts. They remain independent, cautious, highly territorial, and potentially dangerous. Modern wildlife experts have repeatedly shown that raising a wolf is nothing like raising a dog. So if humans didn't simply tame wolves, what actually happened? The strongest scientific explanation today is surprisingly simple. The wolves domesticated themselves. As human hunting became more successful, campsites started producing something valuable: leftovers, bones with bits of meat attached, discarded organs, animal scraps. For scavengers like wolves, these camps became reliable food sources. But not every wolf behaved the same. The bold, aggressive wolves usually stayed away. Getting too close to humans carrying spears and controlling fire was simply too risky. Instead, the wolves that benefited were the calmer ones, the slightly less fearful, the slightly more curious, the ones willing to linger near the edge of camp and wait patiently for scraps. Those individuals gained easier access to food. Better nutrition meant better survival. Better survival meant more offspring. Generation after generation, natural selection quietly favored wolves that tolerated humans. No one planned it. No one intentionally bred them. Evolution simply rewarded behavior that worked. Eventually, the descendants of these calmer wolves became less reactive, less aggressive, and increasingly comfortable living near people. This idea gained extraordinary support from one of the most famous animal experiments ever conducted. During the 1950s, Russian geneticist Dmitry Belyaev began breeding silver foxes. Instead of selecting animals for appearance or size, he chose only one characteristic: friendliness toward humans. Every generation, the calmest foxes became parents. The aggressive ones did not. The results shocked the scientific community. Within only a few decades, the foxes didn't just become friendlier. Their floppy ears appeared, curled tails emerged, white patches developed across their fur. Their faces became rounder. They barked more often. They actively sought human attention. Many behaved almost exactly like domestic dogs. Belyaev had never selected for floppy ears or curled tails. He selected only for tameness. Scientists now call this collection of linked changes domestication syndrome. It appears that reducing fear and aggression also influences physical development through complex genetic pathways, especially those connected to early embryonic growth. In other words, selecting for behavior unintentionally changes appearance as well. This discovery completely changed how researchers viewed dog domestication. If foxes could transform this dramatically within a few generations, then ancient wolves living beside humans may have evolved dog-like traits much faster than previously imagined. Of course, wolves weren't the only ones changing. Humans were changing too. At some point, people stopped seeing these animals solely as threats. Instead of throwing every leftover bone into the wilderness, they tolerated the quieter wolves nearby. Perhaps children grew accustomed to seeing familiar animals around camp. Perhaps hunters noticed these wolves barking whenever predators approached. Perhaps they realized wolves could smell prey long before humans could. Little by little, trust formed. Not perfect trust, just enough. Evidence suggests this process may have happened several times across Eurasia rather than in one single location. Genetic studies hint that different wolf populations may have begun forming relationships with humans independently. Wherever it happened, the partnership quickly proved useful. Wolves gained food and protection. Humans gained extra eyes, sharper noses, better hearing, and an early warning system against danger. Over time, cooperation became survival. As generations passed, the relationship grew stronger. Humans naturally preferred the friendliest animals. Those animals reproduced more successfully. Artificial selection gradually joined natural selection. The result was no longer merely a calmer wolf. It was becoming something entirely new. The changes weren't only physical. Dog brains evolved as well. Modern dogs possess remarkable abilities that wolves simply don't. For example, if you point toward an object, most dogs immediately look where you're pointing. Even wolves raised by humans struggle with this task. Dogs seem naturally wired to interpret human gestures. They also maintain eye contact in a unique way. Among wolves, prolonged staring is often a sign of aggression. Among dogs, eye contact strengthens social bonds. Even more fascinating, when dogs and humans gaze into each other's eyes, both release oxytocin, the same hormone involved in bonding between parents and children. Your brain responds to your dog almost like it responds to family. The brains respond in kind. Evolution transformed a wild predator into an expert reader of human emotions. Dogs even evolved tiny facial muscles that wolves largely lack. These muscles raise the inner eyebrows, creating the famous puppy eyes expression. Humans instinctively respond to this face with empathy and care. Over thousands of years, the dogs best at capturing human attention received more food, more protection, and more opportunities to reproduce. Without realizing it, humans selected for cuteness. Dogs evolved to communicate with us in ways unlike any other animal. By roughly 10,000 years ago, archaeological discoveries showed dogs buried beside humans. These weren't discarded carcasses, they were companions. Some graves carefully positioned dogs next to their owners, suggesting affection that extended beyond life itself. A detail tells an extraordinary story. Humanity's first domesticated relationship was built not only on usefulness, but also on emotional connection. People mourned their dogs. They honored them. They buried them with respect. Thousands of years later, very little has changed. Today, dogs sleep in our beds, travel with our families, appear in holiday photos, and receive birthday cakes. Many people experience grief after losing a dog that rivals losing a close relative. Neurological studies suggest there is good reason for that. Our brains often process these relationships as genuine family bonds. Once humans fully embraced dogs, selective breeding accelerated. Different jobs required different abilities. Some dogs specialized in tracking scents. Others guarded camps. Some helped herd livestock after farming emerged. Others pulled sleds across frozen landscapes. Over thousands of years, humans transformed one ancestral wolf into hundreds of different breeds. Fast dogs, strong dogs, tiny dogs, massive dogs, each reflected a different human need, or sometimes simply human preference. Most modern breeds are surprisingly recent, many originating only during the last few centuries through carefully controlled breeding programs. Yet beneath all that diversity remains the same ancient partnership that began beside forgotten campfires. Perhaps the most remarkable lesson isn't that humans created dogs, it's that dogs also helped shape humanity. Researchers believe dogs increased hunting efficiency, improved camp security, and may even have assisted human migration into new environments. Communities with canine companions often gained important survival advantages. In many ways, both species evolved together. Humans changed dogs. Dogs changed humans. Few relationships in nature are so deeply intertwined. Think back to that silent night beside the fire. A cautious wolf stepped a little closer. A tired hunter chose not to throw a spear. Neither understood what they had begun. There were no plans, no grand inventions, only small decisions repeated over thousands of years. Those tiny choices eventually created one of the oldest friendships on Earth. The next time a dog rests its head on your lap, waits patiently at the door, or looks at you with complete trust, you're witnessing the result of thousands of years of shared evolution. That loyalty wasn't created overnight. It was built across countless generations through cooperation, survival, and mutual dependence. And perhaps the greatest irony of all is this. While modern life celebrates independence, one of humanity's greatest evolutionary successes came from learning to share a campfire with another species. Long before cities, money, careers, or technology defined human existence, a wolf chose to stay close instead of walking away. That single choice quietly changed history, and in many ways it reminds us that survival has never been about standing alone, but about knowing who deserves a place beside your fire.